Namaste and welcome to the Divas That Care Network. I'm your host, Gia-Raquel Rose, owner of Airs Above Yoga, and you are listening to Above the Ground podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, our network is going into its 16th year and listened to in over 30 countries. I would like to personally thank you for giving me the gift of your time. As always, it is my honor to hold space with you and for you. And we're going to continue on this line of foundations and kind of stepping off of them, if you will, or what the next best step is. And the reason for that is because I am an Aries and I am not an astrologer, but my mom was super into astrology and numerology and kind of instilled a love of that in me from a very young age. My birthday presents often included a little birth chart, horoscope for the year, etc. It's very near and dear to my heart. And as an Aries, if anyone who does not follow astrology or that type of guidance, if you will, um, most, if not all, I think seven of the planets right now are all direct and all in Aries, which I believe from and I have not done much research on this because I don't want to fall into a rabbit hole because I am not an astrologer. But I feel like this is the first time this has happened in over 20,000 years, something crazy like that. So there was also a new moon in Aries over this past, it was Friday, I believe, Thursday into Friday. So we're still kind of in the energy of that Aries new moon. And for those of you who don't follow moon cycles, which I am, as a yoga instructor, a big follower of the sun and the moon and the planets and all of that and how they work with the body. And so to that end, the new moon is all about setting intentions and kind of planting seeds, if you will, for your next step. Whereas full moons are for clearings, endings, cutting cords, that kind of a thing. So again, very basic, very broad scope. I want to get into the meditation, so I don't want to dive too deep into things that I love, but that I am not as educated on as many others. Although I will say that there are some I do have some favorites. So if ever anyone is curious, I'm happy to share who some of my favorite like Instagram astrologers are. But to that end, and with the idea of our episode that was all about kind of building up the legs when we talk about yoga asana last week, the legs are our foundation, right? And it's very hard. I have like the Fool card from a tarot in my mind's eye. It's very hard to take the step off the cliff without being able to trust, like the age old saying of the bird who trusts its wings, not the branch that it lands on, right? So, and again, butchering that, I'm sure, but with the idea of building this strong foundation so that you can lead from it, guide from it. Ultimately, it's a foundation within you, literally and figuratively, literally in your legs, right? Those the things that carry you forward in and through your life. And also with regard to your core, like your values, your integrity, who you are as a person, your belief systems and structures, right, wrong, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge. It's not about me. It's about who you being true to yourself. And hopefully you are not a hopefully you come from love and kindness, and I'll just spin it towards the positive. And should you not, then please maybe rethink. But again, when we're talking about this, we're talking about being true to yourself, assuming that yourself is not like, you know, a serial killer. Let's just go on that assumption, and that yourself is a true embodiment of the divine in human form here on this planet with us, trying to live in love and light. So let's make that assumption. It's a big assumption, I know, but let's make that assumption and lead from that. So coming off of the new foundations and moving into what is the next step. So I am always a fan, and I just forgive me as a grown woman, I'm still a fan of Disney. I grew up on Disney. I will always love Disney. I wrote a thesis in college on, the letdowns of Disney. But I think that one of my favorites, and I love this because I think that as we as we as a culture began to evolve, I think Disney began to evolve with the times. And back in the day, it was always a princess needing to be saved, right? And one of the things that I really loved was one of the Frozens. I think it was the second Frozen because I'm not that adept at it, but I believe it was the second Frozen, um, where there is a song and it's about just the next thing, the next right thing. And I love that because I often find that when I'm faced with overwhelm, which I think a lot of people in this life and in this world are in a bit of a constant state of overwhelm. And if you're not, kudos to you and come be on my podcast and I want to interview you and find out your secrets to not being in overwhelm. But I do think that, we live in a very busy, very chaotic environment in the United States where I personally am, and in other countries it's even worse or sometimes better depending on where you are. But all of us have not only our personal desires, aspirations, limitations, belief systems, and structures, but also that of the world and environment around us, our friends, our family, our coworkers, all the things, right? Society. So when you're pulled in all angles, in all directions, all the time, and you're just trying to get through your life and your day with a little bit of peace, and you come into that overwhelm, and it really hit me poignantly. As you can see, I'm off my mat. Woohoo! I was on my mat earlier today with a client, but I'm off my mat and I have a new setup and a new backdrop, if you will. It may change. I'm still unpacking. But if ever you think that you are not overwhelmed, I challenge you to move or clear your space, because as soon as you see all of the things in front of you and then you have to go through them all and reorganize or pack or purge or whatever it is, I found myself in the process coming up against walls. Like I would be unpacking, or I would be trying to find new homes for things in a new space, which is like, half the fun of it is that when it comes together nicely. But sometimes if you have a lot of things, or maybe you have things that don't even belong to you, or they're from your family, or they're from friends or whatever, then you can go through a state of, okay, like I need to take a step back from this and go do something else. And you can get overwhelmed and you can kind of just start to shut down a little bit. That's what happens for me. I'm not saying it happens for everyone, but I have seen other people, what do we do as humans when things get overwhelming? We ignore them or we go do something else because we can't face that overwhelm. And one of the things I love about the Frozen lyric is, and overwhelm in general, is the breakdown. And this is one of the things that I love about yoga. Everything can be broken down into its smaller parts. And then the next thing that you do is the next right thing, right? So if you're looking at a yoga pose that's overwhelming, or you're looking at a project that's overwhelming, or you just break it apart. I also remember seeing memes about the little stick figure climbing up the ladder, and there's a ladder with rungs that are just too high for the little stick figure to even jump onto. And then there's rungs that are just right on top of each other. And that little stick figure is leaps and bounds above the one that's jumping up to that high rung that he can't reach, or she. So it's that idea of the breakdown process. And when you hit a wall and you have to say, okay, I'm going to put this down for a second, go tackle something else. There's always something to be done. I've said that for many, many years. I find being bored a very challenging place to live in. There's always something that you can do, something that you can create, something that you can take in, whether it be a book, online content. I know we're all kind of addicted to our screens, watching a Disney movie, for example. There's always something else. And another thing that I've said, again, and I've coined none of these things, they're just things that I enjoy, is rest, don't quit, right? So when you get hit with that sense of overwhelm and you hit the wall and you look around and, you've got a room, in my case recently, full of boxes, and you've gone through and you've OCD'd all over them, and you're still kind of in that state of, oh my God, this is a lot and I don't know if I can do this. Or if that's the way your life is set up right now, oh my God, this is a lot, I don't know if I can do this. It's the same feeling that translates on any various amount of different projections into our daily existence, from the inconsequential to the highly consequential. And sometimes we can't even discern which ones are inconsequential and which ones are highly consequential. So with that in mind, what is the next best step for you, or for me, or for whomever? And with this idea of having this strong foundation, building from your legs, building building strength at your base, not even at your core, which is your inner strength, right? Your inner strength comes from your heart, it comes from your core and your solar plexus. But your physical external strength, your body, the strength of your physique, the base is the legs, the feet, the legs, and our poor feet are so neglected, but that'll be another episode. So when you get to this place of, okay, I'm coming from a strong foundation. I know who I am at my core. I know what my goals are. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe the next step for you is to define your goal, to figure out what it is that you want. And so that is what this meditation is going to be about today. It's going to be aligning with your higher self, your divine guidance, whatever it is that you believe in or choose not to believe in. It's going to be coming from that place, tapping into that place, your own intuition, your own connection to yourself. And then from that place, hopefully receiving a little bit of nugget, if you will, a little bit of divine guidance into what the next best move is for you. And I'm a big fan of intention setting, right? So if there is a specific area of your life that you want help focusing on to know what, not the end result, like I've said it before, I'll say it again, let the how happen. A lot of it is out of our control, but what is the next step in the right direction? Think Indiana Jones and the bridge that shows up out of nowhere, the leap from the lion's den. Because again, I'm in a Disney, I'm in a movie phase today. So roll with me on this. But that one step, that step off the cliff onto the nothingness, what is that for you? If there is an area of your life where you would like that specific guidance, then as we go through this meditation, I will interject a moment where you can fill in the blank for your particular situation that you'd like guidance on. And again, we come from the assumption that, and we always set up a space of divine protection, if you will. But we come from the assumption that this higher self that we're tapping into is a sacred space with us, with our higher self, a direct line, safe from outside influence, good, bad, or indifferent. And that it's your truth coming through. That's the goal. And that will always be my goal. Other people's truths are built on other people's perspectives, even if they are paid professionals. And I always encourage you to follow the guidance of your paid professional. I am just a yoga instructor and guided meditation enthusiast, we'll say. And so but I do say over and over again that I think if you have a strong inner compass and you have a strong sense of self, and ultimately, unless there's some chemical imbalance in your mind or there's some other thing going on with which you are seeking professional guidance, if you don't have a lot of that, then developing this connection with your inner self is the most important, because that's your true north. That's your North Star. Go back and watch that meditation. And that's where we want to find our guidance to get through our lives when things don't make sense and they become overwhelming, that we still have that star, that we still have that point to follow, whether it's coming from within us, whether it's coming from the divine connection through us. That is the guidance we follow, not necessarily what our friends, family, society, television, social media, not what they are doing or what they think we should do, but what's true for us. And I will fight for that flag. I will fight for that flag. I've taken advice in the past that I deeply regret, and it did not come from me. It went against what I wanted or what I thought. And it was from a qualified professional. So, and it's not their fault. They thought they were, I'm sure they thought they were doing the right thing and providing the correct guidance, and maybe they were. Maybe I wouldn't be here today doing this with you if that hadn't have happened. So I don't question that I'm in the right place or that I wound up where I was supposed to be, but I do have a few regrets, and I think that all of us in this life have our own regrets. So it's a lot easier to place blame on someone else than to take responsibility for our own actions, obviously. So I don't want it to come across as I'm placing no blame on another. I made the choices that I made. What I am saying is that at that point in time, I did not have the cultivation with my inner guidance that I have now. And I think that, hey, maybe because of that, maybe that was the divine seed being planted for me to cultivate that, because it was from that decision that I became very, very adamant about not taking advice from outside perspectives. And that doesn't mean, your financial advisor or, qualified professional advice. I'm talking about like your life's trajectory, like the big things, right? I'm not talking about getting tax help as it was just April 15th. I'm not talking about a qualified CPA, right? Do that. Go to your qualified CPA. Go to your attorney. Go to whomever it is that you need to when you're out of your depth. That's not what I'm saying at all. But also develop that inner knowing by working with it, stilling the mind, quieting the body, and being in a space where you can comfortably and with an element of trust and faith in something bigger than yourself, seek, heed, and move forward from a place of a strong foundation. And with that in mind, we're going to move into the meditation now. So, as always, and again, I've said this for others. So, like some meditations, especially if we're seeking, depending on the meditation, if we're doing a grounding meditation, I often suggest feet on the ground. I will always say, and again, this is for those of you who are tuning in for the first time for the meditation episodes, I often give a little prequel of how to set yourself up for a comfortable meditation every time. And this gives you guys a little bit. Spoiler alert, it's happening now. So begin now to set yourself up in a comfortable position. Traditionally, it is seated, cross-legged, if that's comfortable for you. You can sit on a small pillow to elevate the hips so that the knees are below the hips, and that's often adds a layer of comfort for people who can't sit comfortably for long periods of time. You can also lie down. Not traditional. I personally very much enjoy lying down to meditate. Danger, you could fall asleep, right? It's not really a danger, but we don't like to fall asleep in meditations. We'd like to fall into and come out of it consciously and with purpose, and with awareness. So I don't love if you think that you might fall asleep. So keep that in mind. If you are going to lie down, the preferred method for me personally is to be on a yoga mat potentially, or a blanket, or somewhere comfortable on the floor, or even in your bed, but taking your feet wider than hips width, yoga mats width apart, essentially, and allowing the knees to rest in on each other like a little tiny pyramid, so that your feet are connected to the ground, your lower back, it's a very nice sacral release. Your lower back is nice and relaxed. You can be there hopefully for an indefinite period of time. There shouldn't be anything pulling or creating any discomfort. That's a fan favorite, if you will. And then always I say legs up the wall. I love legs up the wall. I can't say enough things about legs up the wall that are positive. I don't know if there's anything negative other than it is probably one of the not even less, the least graceful entrances and exits to a yoga asana. So legs up the wall, you need to get your sits bones, so that's the base of the pelvic bones on either side at the bottom of your butt, for lack of a better term, all the way up against the wall. So rolling into fetal position on your right side, bringing your knees into your body as close as you can get them so that your soles of the feet and the bottom of your butt, for lack of a better term, are all up against the wall, and then rolling onto your back, sending your legs straight up. Oftentimes, you then have to put your feet against the wall and shimmy so that you actually get your sits bones all the way against the wall. It's worth the effort and the lack of grace, I promise you. And legs up the wall actually has a whole host of health benefits. Good for the heart, good for the circulation, good for the legs, quote unquote, adds years to the body. And as we're talking about our strong foundations, gives our legs and our feet a much needed break. It actually helps with, swelling, lymphatic movement from the legs down into the body. So loads and loads of health benefits. I encourage you to look it up before I continue down that rabbit hole. And for today, I will say feet grounded might be a better choice, but if you are ever really just wanting to do legs up the wall, always trust the position your body calls you to be in. And you can also add, when a weighted pillow, a blanket, a regular pillow to the soles of the feet to create that idea of grounding. Bend the knees, bring your feet down. Make sure that the pillow is comfortable and a little bit heavier or larger so it doesn't fall off of your feet onto your body in the middle of your meditation. So those are my warnings, and hopefully I've given you enough time for that. Whatever pose you chose, you are now comfortably set up in it, and we will begin our next best step meditation. So from wherever you are, gently beginning to lower your gaze or close your eyes, and beginning to connect in with your body by focusing on your breath. So beginning to deepen your breathing. And if you have any issue with that focus, you can always take your hands onto your belly or onto your heart center and just begin by breathing into the hands. And in doing so, bringing the mind and the body into that state of oneness with each other, allowing the mind to follow the ebb and flow of the breath, and beginning to allow the breath to be natural, not forced, simply followed. Breathing as deeply as you can without effort. And from there, beginning to visualize your entire body surrounded in white light. Declare inside yourself that this white light is your sacred space of connection and union with your higher self, with the divine within you. And allow whatever you see to be true and right for you. Either internally, or feel free to speak and declare this your sacred space. Knowing that you are safe, knowing that this light is protecting you, and call in that divine thread. Visualize it however it comes through for you. This thread is the tether between where you are now physically and your energetic and eternal self. Take a moment with this visualization. What does this thread look like for you? Note that this thread is within the same white light, the same sacred space, that is all around your physical body. Does this thread come from your heart center? Does it come down through your crown chakra, through all of your chakras? Is this thread the size of your entire physical body? Is this thread the size of something you may thread through a needle? Take a moment to look at yourself and your connection to your higher self. Can you feel this thread? Can you feel this connection? And now, as an exercise, depending on your level of comfort, speak the area of your life, should you wish, where you are seeking guidance, and watch the vibration of your words move through this thread of connection and consciousness. Where is it that you are setting the intention for your next step? And when you've spoken, just notice if there was any change. Allow your mind's eye to become very clear and very still. Now that you've spoken or focused your awareness on an intention, begin to deepen the settling into your physical body. Connect through all the points of contact between yourself and the earth beneath you. Come into complete relaxation and ease, the ease of stillness, where the only movement is your breath. And from this stillness, intend or speak that you are now in a state to receive. your next step. And herein lies the challenge. In your stillness, allow your only focus to be stillness. Your answer may come as a visualization in your mind's eye. You may hear a word, a phrase. You may smell, taste, or feel a sensation in your body. Be still and receptive to your guidance now. Remember when you receive, not to judge, not to question, and not to ask, but how. Inevitably, even I, as we all do, as is human nature, if you receive guidance, the automatic response is, but how? Just receive the guidance. However, it has arrived for you. And if you're still unsure, bring your hands to your heart center. Speak or think, I am ready to receive my next best step, and settle back into the stillness of your body. Focusing only on the rhythm of your breath. Allow yourself to receive. Refuse to chase the answer, the goal. When you catch yourself trying to receive, softly smile and bring your hands and your awareness back to the rhythm of your breath. Notice from this place of receptivity if the thread of connection has changed in any way. If you're a visual person, was this focal point helpful to receive your message? Or were you able to simply see or receive a vision of your next step? Were you able to hear a thought, a phrase come to you as an answer through the vibration of this thread connecting you to your higher self? Did you feel tingling in your fingers and hands? Did you smell something which brought a memory or reminder of something to you? Did a taste you recognize overwhelm you with a sensation of warmth and love? These are all ways in which your body, your soul, your mind, and the thread that connects it all. These are all ways in which you can receive communication. Take a few more moments to breathe into your hands and ask to embody this next step. Ask for whichever signal came through to you. Ask for it to show up for you when you're taking the inspired action on the path of this next step. you struggled with receptivity, you can also offer a signal, a sign, if you will, whether it be a word, a color, a shape, an animal, a song, something to begin to cultivate this thread of awareness as you move through your day to day life. Take a moment in gratitude with your hands on your heart for your connection to your body, for your connection to your higher self, your soul's union with the divine, to all that is. Take a moment to say thank you for this guidance on my next step. And above all, in gratitude for the trust that as you step off the solid foundation you create, that your higher self will be there to form the bridge to the next and highest and best version of you, your future, your soul's mission, and your divine journey. Begin now to breathe deeply into your hands. Feel the breath flow into all the points of contact between yourself and the earth beneath you. Ground down into the weight of your body on the floor. Begin to visualize the white light surrounding you and allow it to begin to glow within you. Allow it to glow around the thread. Allow it to glow within the energy field around you. Knowing that this sacred space is all around you, always there, and acknowledging it is the first step in cultivating your connection to it. And when you feel fully grounded back within your body, united with your breath, and at one with the peace in your mind, gently begin to open your eyes. As always, take as much time as you need to come out of these meditations. And if at any point in time you feel as though you need more time in stillness, you can always feel free to pause. Although it may take you slightly out of the meditation itself, which is the only stipulation that I make. But I do hope that this particular meditation helped to give you just a little bit of guidance and a way to connect with all that is around you and within you, as with any luck, it's all one and the same. And so again, take your very Slow time to feel grounded. Make sure you drink water. If you're not allergic, I like to eat some chocolate after I meditate. Eating any amount of food with chocolate is particularly grounding, and I love it as long as, like I said, it doesn't create any harm. And give yourself some time and space and allow for yourself to stay in that space of going to say reciprocity. Reciprocity might be a Freudian slip. I was going to say receptivity, but if anything, this universe is nothing if not reciprocal. So try to take this space of peace, receptivity, and reciprocity with you as you move throughout the rest of your day. And as always, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you for sharing this space with me and ask that you please feel free to share the same with your loved ones. For more goodness, follow me on all the socials at Above the Ground Podcast and visit my website, airsaboveyoga.com. Don't forget to check out my other episodes and all of my amazing sisters at the Divas That Care Network. You can find us on Spotify, Odyssey, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and anywhere else that you might feel guided. Again, my name is Gia-Raquel Rose, owner of Airs Above Yoga, and you are listening to Above the Ground podcast, where every day is a good one.